Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be going through my round 18 AFL tips and predictions, as well as reviewing my tips for last round being round 17, seeing how many I got incorrect. Now if you guys do go on to enjoy today's video, as always, could you please show me that by liking the video as well as subscribing to the channel if you guys are new. Anyway, enough wasting your time, let's get straight into it. Alright, now before I do get into the tips, I just want to quickly acknowledge the fact that I do have a tipping comp over on the ESPN app, and it's not too late in the season to join. There is a completely new top 3 that I will be running through just in a moment, but the link to join the competition is in the description below if you would like to join. Currently in third place is DeConti 8, second place is Ash Pies, a new contender in the top 3, and then we have a new leader. That's right, Ben Rafferty, the leader for the last few weeks, has officially dropped out of the top 3, and the new leader is PJRM. And as for myself, I have slowly jumped up in the ranks after a really outstanding last 2 weeks of tipping. That's right, last week I also got a 9 out of 9 in tipping, and the previous week I got a 7 out of 7, so my tipping as of late has been pretty exceptional. Hopefully I can get 3 perfect rounds in a row this week. Enough wasting your time, let's get straight into the tipping. And to start off this week of football, on the Thursday at 7:30 PM over at Marvel Stadium, we have the Carlton Blues taking on the Brisbane Lions. This game should be a blowout in the Brisbane Lions' favour. The Blues have been in some pretty poor form as of late, and they have got a pretty difficult run home. I think at this point in time, their chances of making finals are completely done for, unless somehow they pull off a miracle this week against Brisbane. They're such an injury-prone side as well. They do currently sit at 12, 10 spots behind the second place Brisbane Lions, and after last week's shocking loss against the Pies, it could have really gone out to 100 points if the Pies had a good fourth quarter. In the end, they only scored 1 goal against the Blues in the fourth. Zach Williams managed to kick 3 goals last week for the Blues, and he's definitely going to need to step up this week if the Blues want any chance of making it a decent margin. Motlop, he's been pretty average this season, hasn't been able to kick as many goals as the Blues typically want, but kicking 2 goals 1 last week was kind of making him seem like a decent player. Even the Lions, though, with their list, you can just tell why they are playing such good football at the moment. I mean, Zach Bailey kicked 5 goals last week, which is absolutely huge. And Charlie Cameron will not go unnoticed with his 3 goals 1. Human Cluggage was very close to the perfect 30, with him racking up 29 disposals last week. And even Lockie Neal had 29 as well, with both of those players kicking 1 goal each. The Brisbane Lions are coming off a 28-point win against Port Adelaide, a margin that should have been way more extended in the Lions' favour. They're such a better football team than the Port Adelaide Power, and they're going to come into this game absolutely firing, wanting to smash the Blues by 100 plus. This could be the first 100 plus win we see all season, and I think there's no shock that the fact that I will be tipping the Lions going into this week, and I think the Lions will get up by 40 points. On the Friday at 7:40 PM, we are heading over to the Gold Coast between the Gold Coast Suns and the Collingwood Magpies at People's First Stadium. This is the first interstate game that we have had in a hot minute, and I'm not really looking forward to it. It seems like we always struggle against the Suns up at Gold Coast. Obviously, we did lose to them last year. And going into this game, the Pies are favourites, but not by a lot. Probably not as much as we should be going into this game. If this was obviously at the MCG, I think we'd get up by around 30 plus. But I think the Suns do have a chance to pull off an upset against us this week at home. Seems like Lachie Schultz could be back into the side this week, which is really, really good, because I have a feeling that Craig McRae might just rest a few of the older players heading up into the Gold Coast. Obviously, they did that when we headed up to Perth to versus Fremantle. It seems like we do tend to rest a few players when we go interstate, but I think we really just need our best 22 if we want to win this game. Obviously, Nick Dacos, 36 disposals last week, absolutely huge. 2 contested marks, might I add. Darcy Cameron, I really think he has been top 5 ruckmans all year. As controversial as that is, I think he has been absolutely outstanding this year. He's not only good in the ruck, but he's also really, really good around the ground, something that other ruckmans aren't typically too good at it. Obviously, Max Gawn's still top ruckman in the league, but I think Cameron's definitely up there this year. Ben King, he's got an average of 2 goals a game, which obviously he can't surpass. A man that was in Coleman contention at the start of the season. Mychak's got an average of 2. Elliott's got an average of 2. Noah Anderson in the midfield, someone's definitely going to have to lock him down this week from the Pies side if they do want any chance of winning it out the middle, as Anderson does have an average of 30 disposals a game. Took Miller, John Noble, and Matt Rowell have all had exceptional seasons this year, and they're going to be really huge, and they're going to need to step up heavily this week. I still think that my Pies do get over the line this week, just because I feel like we are in better form, obviously sitting at the top of the ladder. Haven't lost a game since the Geelong game back in round 10, I feel like it was. I don't know, we have got a bit of a winning streak heading into this game. Pretty good one as well. I do think the Pies still win this one. It'll be a close one. Could be a thriller. I think Pies get up 7 points. Now moving on to the Saturday at 1:20 p.m. between the Western Bulldogs and the Adelaide Crows. This will be at Marvel Stadium as well. Two very informed sides. Obviously the Adelaide Crows do currently sit a little bit higher on the ladder than the Western Bulldogs. The Dogs will be heading into this game as the favourites because it is their home game. They have been really, really good as of late, and it just seems like they're smashing a team nearly every single week, or maybe every second week. Obviously the Crows do have Jordan Dawson, who I feel like I'm always saying this, but I do think he's the best player in the league currently, Jordan Dawson, and I just feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Riley Thilthorpe, he's got an average of 2 goals a game, and Sam Darcy, how important has he been since he's returned back to the Western Bulldogs side? Darcy Fogarty's been huge. Joshua Shelley did go off last week due to an injury, and I think the likelihood of him playing this week is going to be very low. Bailey Dale, after that game where he did almost rack up 50 disposals, he's just been huge ever since. 27 disposals is his current average every game. Liberatore is also averaging the same 27. And obviously Marcus Bonampelli's performance every single week is not going to go unnoticed. Probably the best captain in the league, if not Patrick Cripps. The ruck battle should be pretty huge between O'Brien and Tim English. I don't know, two very similarly informed sides. I think the Dogs do get up at home though. I'm going to go Dogs to win this one by 2 goals, but it could really go either way this one. Now moving on to the NG Stadium game between the GWS Giants and the Geelong Cats at 4:15 p.m. The Giants are in desperate need to win this game if they want any hope of making finals this year. They do currently sit in the top 8, but it's really just 50-50 between the Giants making finals and Fremantle, I think. I feel like top 8's pretty much already set. It's just between those two teams at the moment. So the Giants at home are definitely going to need to win this one, but I feel like the likelihood of them doing so is very unlikely considering how good the Cats are. The Cats are a side that are a chance, if they do win this game, might not lose a game for the rest of the season. And they do currently sit at 4th place, and they're going to be wanting to become the minor premiers at the end of the year, meaning that Collingwood are going to have to drop a few games if that is the case. Bailey Smith, he has been their best player by a mile this year, should win their club best and fairest, and potentially the Brownlow in this year's season. Jeremy Cameron, he's currently got 52 goals this season, kicked his 700th last week. He could hypothetically kick 100 goals this season. If it does happen, it'll have to be in the final series at some stage. Jesse Hogan though, he's had a pretty good season, didn't play in last week's game, but hopefully we see a return from him pretty soon. But Bailey Smith, average of 32 disposals, and obviously Tom Green's not going to go unnoticed with his average of 31. Two very informed midfielders and probably two of the best midfielders in the comp. Lachie Ash, probably one of his best seasons he's had in his career. Lachie Whitfield, for a stage there, he was averaging the most disposals in the league, and I mean, he's still up there. He's averaging 28 disposals a game, so good on him. I don't know, I just feel like the Cats are pretty strong all around the ground in their defence, in their forward line, and especially in their midfield, probably the best midfield in the competition. So I think the Cats will get up here. I think the Cats should get up here by a bit more of a comfortable margin than what people probably think. I think Cats get up here by 25. And now at 7:35 p.m. at the MCG, we've got a bit of a yawn fest between the Richmond Tigers and the Essendon Bombers. Two sides that are completely ruled out of the final series this year, and two very poor sides, in fact. It's kind of funny to think that the Tigers could actually get another win to their name this week, considering how bad Essendon have been as of late. Obviously, they did beat the Richmond Tigers earlier in the season in the Dreamtime game, but maybe this is the chance for Richmond to take revenge. Obviously, they will be without Noah Bolter this week for reasons that I think we all know of. Cato and Kako, they've been doing bits up in the forward line for the Essendon Bombers this year, which is pretty good because obviously Jake Stringer, I think he was their leading goal kicker in 2024. So obviously without him this year, the forward line definitely does need to step up. Now, Kako, I feel like did start the year a bit poorly, but I think he's starting to come out his shell a bit more, getting a bit more used to the AFL sort of scene, and he's kicking a goal nearly every game. Both teams are coming off shocking losses after last week. Obviously, the Gold Coast Suns defeated the Bombers by 41 points, and the Cats defeated the Tigers by 72 points. So neither teams really showed up to last week's match, especially the Tigers. I do still think the Bombers get up this week, considering they are in better form. Not saying that they're in good form, but they are definitely in better form. The Tigers obviously do have quite a young side, but they're making the most of what they can. I mean, they still sit at 17 on the ladder, so I'm not really going to hype them up too much. Bombers should get up in this game, and I think the margin will be larger than probably what it should be. I think Bombers should get up by 35. At 8:10 p.m. over at Optus Stadium, we've got a bit of a later game between the Fremantle Dockers and the Hawthorn Hawks. Now, I would typically be favouring Hawthorn going into this game, but I feel like Fremantle have got a chance as it is being played at their home turf. Fremantle currently sit at 9th while the Hawks sit at 5th, which is kind of surprising considering how good the Hawks did start off the year, sat at 1st place for the first few weeks of the season. And going into this year's season, I thought Fremantle were almost a lock to play finals this year, but now they're sitting at 9th, and it's really just between them and GWS who will sneak in the 8 this year, and I think it will be Fremantle. I think they are a better team than GWS, considering they have got such a strong midfield. Obviously, two big names between Andrew Brayshaw and Caleb Sarong. Jack Gunston, he kicked an absolute bag last week, and he probably will reach a personal best this year, I reckon. Mabior Chol in game 100 last week, he put on an absolute show. He's actually averaging 2 goals a game as well as Gunston. Shea Bolton, he's had a pretty good season for the Fremantle Dockers, one of the best recruits all season. Brayshaw and Sarong are both averaging 27 disposals. Hopefully the Hawks can lock them down this week. I do think the Hawks will still get up here. The odds are very close. Fremantle are currently $1.92, while the Hawks are $1.93. So very, very close there. Hawks will win this one by 17. So start off the Sunday at 1:10 p.m. We're moving over to the MCG between the Melbourne Demons and the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Now, obviously, earlier in the year, North Melbourne did go out there and absolutely pump the Melbourne Demons, and I think they could do something similar this week, and I'll tell you exactly why. They sit pretty similarly on the ladder. Obviously, Melbourne are currently 14th, while North Melbourne are 16th on the ladder. Although despite North not being able to get over the line quite often, they do put up quite a fight almost every single week. Obviously, got the draw against the reigning premiers, the Brisbane Lions, just a few weeks back, something the Melbourne Demons were not even close to being able to do. Kazai Pickett, this is probably one of his best seasons he's ever had. Nick Larkey, he kicked, I think, 4 or 5 last week, which, I mean, despite North Melbourne getting absolutely pumped, Larkey put on a show, so he should do the same this week against Melbourne. I can't imagine there's anyone in the Melbourne defence that will be able to lock him down. Harry Sheasel averaging 27 disposals a game. He's probably my favourite North Melbourne player. He's so entertaining to watch, and this has been one of his best seasons by a mile. Caleb Daniel, he's been a huge recruit for the North Melbourne Kangaroos this year. I think he's been better than Luke Parker. He just makes it quite an impact, and because he's such a small player, he can just get around the ground a lot easier, and he's just such a hard player to tackle. Petrarca and Oliver, they start off the year very strong, but they're slowly dropping. Not to say that they're not the best midfielders for the Melbourne Demons. These two teams arguably have the best ruckmans in the comp between Max Gawn and Tristan Sherry. I mean, Max Gawn is a better ruckman by a mile, but Sherry, I think, is quite a strong ruckman himself. This win doesn't really mean anything to either of these teams, but I think North will get up here by 30 points. And the next game, St Kilda will be taking on the Sydney Swans. This will be at Marvel Stadium at 3:15 p.m. It's so crazy to think how strong of a side St Kilda have been the last few weeks. Obviously hung in there with Hawthorn for a little bit, losing the game by 20 points. Not a great loss, but against a team that is the Hawthorn Hawks, who are 10 spots ahead of you on the ladder, that's pretty impressive in my opinion. The week before, only lost by 2 goals against the Fremantle Dockers away in Perth. So they really just do want to get another win to their name, another few wins to their name before the season ends, just to say, hey guys, we're still competing, and really it's just to end the season on a high. As for the Swans, I can't really say that they've been a side that have been known for winning games away this year. Currently sit at 10th place on the ladder, which is kind of surprising considering they finished first on the ladder last year. They have copped a few heavy injuries this year, but nothing too crazy to the point where they should be losing as much games as they have been. Swans will quite obviously go into this game as the favourites. The side ranking in Malira could be a sneaky chance at polling inside the top 5 in the Brownlow medal count this year. He's just been such a strong player, and I feel like he's not getting the most out of playing for St Kilda. He just needs to come to a new club, somewhere where he can make the most out of his career. But it seems like he's having a good time over at St Kilda. I can't see him leaving anytime soon. Sinclair has an average of 26 disposals a game, while Errol Goulden's averaging 24, and Heaney and Mills are averaging 23. Higgins and Sharman have been by far the St Kilda Saints' best forwards this year. But Mason Wood seems to nearly kick a goal every week. I don't know why, I just have that feeling that St Kilda can pull off an upset this week, and I'm actually going to tip St Kilda to win this one. I'm going to go Saints by 7. Next up at the Adelaide Oval between Port Adelaide and the West Coast Eagles at 4:40 p.m. Jesus Christ. Sorry Eagles, you're losing by 40 this week. Don't think there's any need to give reasoning. And that will wrap up this week of tipping. I hope you all did enjoy, and as always, if you did, could you please show me that by liking the video as well as subscribing to the channel if you guys are new. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next video that I post here on the channel.